New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
See, this table is much more practical.
How?
You
It makes so much noise.
slam.
The glass, don't...
At least with the coaster, it doesn't do that quite as much. But I put the glass on that, and it's...
Yeah, don't do that.
Well, I was illustrating a point.
You're going to ruin my vintage Warren Plattner side table.
It's a nice table.
It's a Warren Plattner, thank you. I don't think this one's vintage, though. I think this is a modern production. But it used to be over there. I'm pointing to the corner of the room. But Kevin thought it was a new table because he's insensitive.
No, I didn't think it was a new table. I said it's a new position.
No, you thought that there was a chair there.
No.
I take offense at this.
No, I thought
You've
this
been
was
up
in
here
the
so
hallway.
many times.
This was in the hallway.
This was in the hallway like maybe 8 months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a long time ago. That's like if I got a haircut and you are just noticing it now.
You're driving me to this.
Oh my God. But it's a good table. I moved the other table.
It's a beautiful table.
Yeah.
What more do you want?
Yeah. Welcome to the world's most boring interior design podcast where we talk about where I put things in my house. I did move
Should be a thing.
my...
Have you ever considered doing an interior design podcast or a furniture podcast
It's
with
such
someone
a
else?
visual medium. I don't know. Possibly.
So
I
was
guess.
car brochures, but that's how this started.
That's kind of how that started. That didn't last long, did it?
No.
No. No.
Also because we would buy new brochures for every episode, and it got
Yeah.
to be like, kind of expensive. I
It did
guess.
get expensive, and again, it's such a visual thing. We would just get into talking about the visuals, and
Yeah.
it's like there's just no way, because no one's reading along on Instagram as they're listening.
Well, and by the time the episode went up, we would forget to post it to Instagram
Yeah.
ever.
So it was just like, it was such a disconnect in a way. If it were like, if we had, there would still be a boring TV show, like where you're just like, look at this brochure.
I think it'd be pretty good.
Look at this. You see that photo there?
I don't know. I'm pretty
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. It'd be like a Bob Ross thing. Only
Yeah.
instead of us making the brochure, we're just, I guess, dictating, narrating it. Whatever. Anyways, it's fine. Hey, welcome to another episode of New for 96 Interiors Edition.
Yeah, the thing about
Yeah.
those brochures, though, I just love that type on those BMW brochures
It's
from the
good.
90s.
It's
the
good.
gray and the black Helvetica.
The problem is, of all the things to translate to audio, typography is probably the worst of them.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're gonna record 40 more minutes of this just to make sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's fine. We have
Transition into whatever this
transitioned
is.
that in our... What season would this be if this were a normal, I don't know, like a TV show? Would it be one of those like new TV shows where there's only like 10 episodes, which is stupid?
Or Frasier, where there's 24
Yeah.
and counting.
I don't know. Which one would we be?
Well,
We're an hour long.
this could be this. If we were Frasier,
Yeah.
this would be the season premiere of season 3 because it's episode 49.
Oh, yeah. We're season 3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of seasons.
Yeah.
Or we could have even more seasons if...
And season 3 might have started in 96.
What if this is our, like, end of our 4th season? About to enter our 5th season.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we were a 10 episode situation. A mini series. Oh, no, it wouldn't be a mini series, I guess.
An anthology series?
Sure.
I think that would be different hosts every time.
Oh, I guess. I've actually never used that. I heard that term used before.
That's like what the like American Horror Story and stuff is.
They call it an anthology?
I think
I
it's
love
like an
those,
anthology
actually.
series where it's like different. It's like every season's a new cast of characters.
Oh, you know who's on there? Dylan McDermott. Dylan McDermott.
Are you thinking of Dermot Mulroney?
I just started rewatching The Practice.
Oh,
And we just got into a whole thing the other day about Dylan
since
McDermott.
I edited the last episode, so I would say that what Chris is watching on Hulu is worse than us talking about
Oh,
brochures.
whatever. I'm reliving the 90s through television shows that I used to watch as a kid, which I didn't watch like normal 12-year-old or normal like kid shows. I would watch like Designing Women, Cheers, Frasier,
90210,
90210.
The
That
Practice.
was elementary school. The Practice, because I was really into what are they called? Procedural,
Oh, right. Right.
dramas. So that's why I am the way I am today.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making fun of my little,
Can't dispute it.
like, you gave me such a look with my little tiny sanitizer bottle that I keep in my pocket because I'm a reasonable human being, and who wouldn't carry a tiny,
Did you peel the sticker off or did it wear off from pockets?
I peeled it off for discretion.
Okay.
Yeah. Is
Do
that?
we have a real topic?
No, I don't know.
What about discretion?
What's that?
What about, were you about to ask
Is that the right word for discreet?
yeah.
Discretion? I guess.
Viewer
it is.
discretion is advised.
Oh, yeah. No, but discreet means, low down.
Mm,
Is that a plane?
yeah.
Yeah. I'm
This is
on
the
like a
second one.
route to
Yeah.
Hobby
Mhm.
Airport, unfortunately.
Yeah. People are going to know where you live now.
Shit.
They're going to triangulate
Ugh.
the locale.
Gotta move again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, the wagon's on BaT, and by the time this episode airs, the wagon
It'll be,
will
by the time this
no
airs,
longer be on BaT.
it'll be collecting dust at its new place.
I did actually. Someone asked me if I could store it. Like, so if they bought it or bought it, and
For how long?
2 to 3 weeks. That's reasonable. I would do it. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like, especially if they won the auction. I mean, I'm not gonna say no. You got to pick it up now, and then
Right.
be unaccommodating to that. BaT is such a weird. It's such a weird situation because it's the best and the worst, because it's the best in that you're kind of done with the sale within a week, basically.
Right.
It's the worst because you only have a week to sell this car. And so it's like, it has its own momentum, but at the same time, like everything has to happen so quickly. Like, I think there are people who would take a week to decide if they even want to go look at a car sometimes. And then someone has to decide, okay, here it is. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to, get financing arranged or, transfer money or do whatever you have to do and arrange for shipping and do this and that, like all of a sudden, all at once and within a week, because you have to be sure you can do this.
Well, and also to the buyer or the bidder, you're in the mindset of like, I didn't even know this car existed 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And now I am prepared to
You
own
have
it.
to be ready to have it immediately, basically.
Yeah. And you don't know what's coming next.
No. So that's the crazy, like, it's such a accelerated experience of car selling and buying.
Could you imagine trying to sell this car for, I mean, now fair market value is subjective, especially now in the BaT world. But I mean, could you imagine trying to sell this car if BaT didn't exist?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be on a forum for a long time until someone came along willing to pay.
Yeah, the right buyer and the whole thing. And I mean, there's that thread that I told you about on a BMW forum that follows E91 listings, so BMW wagon listings. And
What else? What have they said lately?
as of now, not a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there's just not like a lot to. There's not a lot to, like, we spent so much time making sure that there was nothing to talk negatively about. Like, it's
a good presentation, and
Yeah.
not just my photos, but it would have been better with your original your original explanation and everything, your original write up. But I mean, it's still all these things, all this completeness that you included.
And what Kevin means is, BaT has their own process, and the only way that I could think about how to describe the car, because I looked at so many BaT listings over the last few years that I could only write my description in the BaT format, you know, seller states, you know, seller alleges, like, oops, shit, what was that? Oh my God. This is the new table, by the way. Maybe this is not a good podcast table.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's still reverberating.
I know. I'm going to put that sound effect in the intro.
Oh God. So I wrote out this. So what I did was I went through like 10 different auctions for BMW wagons, and I formed my description in the same way that BaT had presented those listings, just so that I knew I was covering my bases as far as like details go. And anyways, I submitted it, and they didn't make any comment about it. I like asterisked it, and I said like, sorry, I know like this is in the way that you would normally write it. I'm not like a weirdo. This is just the only way that I could figure out how to detail all the details, basically. And when it came out, the description was nothing like what I had written. Like, I mean, the facts were there, I guess, but in a way, it seemed like it was rewritten
Worse.
less detailed.
Yeah.
So I ended up reposting what I had written. So I posted Craigslist listings for the auction in basically all the major corners of the United States. So from Seattle to San Francisco to LA to
So do people
Houston,
email about
to Miami
does
to New
anyone
York?
email you about those, or they just go to the auction? I mean, the desire is for them to go to the auction.
No, I've had people like email me from the Craigslist listings, but it was never like, oh, just discovered this on Craigslist. It was more like, oh, saw this on BaT too. Like, cool presentation. So whether or not it has garnered extra attention, because again, you only have a week, so you might as well blast it out wherever you can.
Yeah.
So, and then the forum, they commented, one guy commented, like he commented, I couldn't tell, like, cause of course you can't tell like intonation on a forum, but it sounded sarcastic, like, whoa, this guy's really pushing hard, like, to sell his car.
Yeah, that's how I interpret
And it's like, yeah. I mean, like, and then someone else responded in how I would have if I wasn't stalking this thread.
Right. It's called lurking.
Lurking, whatever.
Lurking is when you
Yeah.
read but don't comment.
Yeah, I'm staying behind a digital ficus. So, but yeah, and someone else commented exactly what I was thinking. Is like, you only have a week to sell this car, so yeah, of course. Like, why wouldn't you push it to wherever you can push it to? So,
Yeah.
there you go. But the auction, as of right now, is doing well.
Yeah.
When we record next, we'll have. Well, the auction result will already have. It's ending on Tuesday in 2 days, so people will have already
So
seen
exciting.
it. So I'm hoping that I can state it now because the auction will have ended already, but it has currently met reserve. So that's good at least. And where it goes from here, we'll see. It just passed reserve, just marginally.
Yeah.
Right now. So yeah, we'll see in 2 days time.
Yeah, on Tuesday, I was at my computer. I saw the tweet from Bring a Trailer with the listing, and then you called me immediately after because you had gotten the email saying it listed. And,
oh my God. Yeah.
It was very exciting.
It was very exciting because another manual wagon had just ended, and I was texting you. This is during the day. And I was like, I think my car is going to list in a second, and then you said, I think that is unlikely. And then later, like I think at 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock or something like that, it popped up, and it literally, I just opened my computer at 7 o'clock. It was 7 o'clock, and the email streamed in. How many flights are there? This is like the third plane to have passed by.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's fine. I opened up my laptop, and there was the email that stated that it was now live, which I now see how, like, I'm surprised they don't have like a text system. I mean, they do actually. You can get alerts by text, but I don't know if you get like if you can get an alert like through your phone that your listing has just gone live. But because there are a lot of people who say like, oh, I didn't even realize this had gone live yet. Like, and there are like already 4 comments. But so fortuitously, I just opened my laptop and there it was. I called you because I was just like, oh my God, it's up. Here we go.
Yeah. No, it was very exciting. It was
exciting.
It was a little surreal to see like the photo, in the feed.
Yeah. And so far so good. I mean, people have had nothing but compliments about the photography, which is great, and the detailed description.
I was surprised at how many people commented on the presentation and the photography because I thought they were good, but not. I was happy with the work, but also I was like, we could have done something different or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've seen other cars with really good photography listings.
I agree.
I've never seen this much praise for the photos.
I would have to agree with that. Like, no, they're wonderful photos, but we shot 100 plus photos. So, the expectation that every photo is going to be this perfectly composed thing is not going to happen unless you just had like a month to shoot the car.
Right.
But I mean, I think there were enough good hero shots, and there were many hero shots that set the tone for everything. And I mean, like the other photos were by no means like badly shot. It was just like they were shot with intent and not like a Craigslist sideways photo or like things cropped out weird and this and that. So I'm glad that people are enjoying it.
Totally.
Yeah. And you posted on your Instagram and then you immediately texted me like, this is not doing as well as the other photos of
I blame you.
Porsches and anything else. As of last checking, it got 600 plus likes. So that was the equivalent of when you like post people and other non-car things.
Yeah.
So, but people seem to be, it's positive reaction. So that like gives me relief because I was so like hand wringy. This is my first bad option.
Well, I mean, ever since you bought this car, you probably knew it was going to, best case, this was gonna happen. Like it was gonna be listed on BaT.
No.
Right? Didn't you think? I mean,
I bet you if we rewind episodes,
you probably said you're going to keep this car for a long time.
I think I said this was going to be a forever car.
Okay, well, but you had to think if I sell it, this is where it's going to go.
I probably did think that, yeah. Yeah, because plopping it on like the normal marketplace, I think would not have been as ideal.
Hello, listeners. This is Kevin. I wanted to include a piece of audio, and I wanted to just set it up for you. So during the last 10 minutes of the auction, I told Chris, I'm going to call you, and we're going to record the call and go through this for the pod. And that's what we did. It ended kind of anticlimactic, so I was not sure if this would be even usable, but I thought it'd be interesting to get the full unedited experience out there. So enjoy or not.
This call is now being recorded.
Hello.
Hello?
Nothing like doing this in a extremely quiet office with everyone listening.
Oh.
Right.
Well, I don't feel bad.
So we've got 4 minutes and 40 seconds left in your auction.
Yep. This is
How are you feeling?
I am fine. It's gone up. Okay.
Oh, like you
got
don't
some
have
bids.
this up already.
Well, I'm in my laptop in a closed conference room because the only people who understand this are car people, and otherwise we just look really silly.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I was actually hesitant to post it to my Instagram stories just because it's not a car Instagram. And I assume people assume that bring a trailer means that I have totaled my car, and so someone must bring a trailer to pick it up.
Is that not what it is?
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Okay. I liked any photo that praised the photo, or any comment that praised the photos. I was like, oh, thumbs up to that.
Yes, I noticed that all of the comments in photography had at least one like.
Who's to say who that was? Oh, you got another bid.
Another bid.
So if it ends just like this, how would you feel? There are 627 watchers. That's like 100 watchers every day.
Yeah, there's 12,000. The view counter is like actively moving.
Right into the roof here.
530. 17.5.
17.5.
Ooh. Minute and a half to go.
Wow.
I am not reading it like an auctioneer, although I would like to. How about you? You there?
17, 7,500, 7,750. Do we have 7,800?
Okay, we got two people bidding. And
I've never heard of these people. Have these people bid
either.
before? So Silver Laker.
I have not seen him place a bid yet, but that second to last one, he contacted me about how much I wanted to sell the intake manifold for. So, oh, okay.
Ooh, the bidding war has commenced. This is exciting, and I have nothing on the line here.
This is exciting.
It's getting to the point.
Whole story.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where if it sold for the amount of the bid, you wouldn't be too disappointed.
No. I set my expectations at the reserve. So that was basement.
And it beat the reserve like days ago.
A few days ago. Yeah. So we are
weeks ago.
In good territory for sure.
Yeah. A minute.
I would like
15.
to think that the present. Yeah, but for as much effort as we put into the presentation and as much effort as I took to get the car to where it is now, just all the maintenance, I would love, of course, to see it go past the previous record for the exact same spec. We have 50 seconds.
Holy shit.
Oh my god.
It really ups the ante when that bar turns red.
I know.
It looks like there's 5 seconds left.
I know.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Where are we going?
Oh my god. 29 seconds, no bids.
No bids.
It's at 18,000.
This is usually when people kind of start momentum.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh, someone's like to bid. The same two people are duking it out. Wow.
They're duking it
that
out.
was some nerve.
We got 2 minutes
waiting
here.
like 20 seconds left to go. Now we're back up to 2 minutes.
Yeah, back up to 2 minutes.
Daniel asked me to conference him in. I don't know how to do that. Let me try.
Okay.
Are you still there?
I am still here.
Okay, sorry. I don't know how to do that. I thought I could, but, you know.
Do we not have Daniel from Portland on the line?
We do not. I didn't want to. I was pressing buttons. I was able to bring up his contact. Anyway, it's fine. So there's 55 seconds left. No more bids. 18,250. Like, no one's bidding with real conviction here. They're just doing the minimum.
I think because they wanna snipe the auction. So
they should
the
know.
When you place a bid, yeah, when you place a bid, it extends to 2 minutes, but because they're going in $250 increments.
Should I comment?
If you want.
Whatever I say is going to be really lame.
Oh, here goes, maybe. Here we go, maybe. Oh.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh. What happened?
Oh.
Sold.
It sold.
Okay.
I feel like I'm really disappointed.
It didn't beat the last one, but it's fine. It's good. All right. Well,
This is going to be like
there we go.
bad content. It's like 2016
No,
election
well,
night.
oh my God. Yeah, I won't lie. I was hoping that it would go a little bit higher, but I'm also
I really thought it would hit 20.
yeah, I thought it would hit 20 at least too. Oh well.
All right.
I'm content. Like this is fine.
Okay. That's good.
All right. Well, that's a bad auction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Goodbye.
Okay. We will discuss this further.
Yes, we will.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was our call as it happened. And now enjoy the rest of the show, which was recorded about a week earlier.
And it's already beaten that hodgepodge other E91 that listed that ended that day that yours posted.
It did. It was an LCI. I think it was an 09 or no, it was a 10. But it was an M Sport conversion.
Yeah.
And it was fine. I mean, it could look good. It was high mileage, so it was like 137,000 miles or something like that.
And it had some mods and
It's a mod.
weird history.
It sold for a pretty decent price considering.
It seemed low considering, but
really, I thought because of the miles. Because I will say that's the one pitfall of the not the pitfall. I guess like with like an old Porsche, the value is going to be pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Regardless of mileage, it's really just more maintenance. I think with the E91s, I've noticed that like the lower the mileage, the higher the price. But like when you start piling on into well above 100,000 miles, I noticed that it starts declining in value a little bit. So that's why I was surprised that this one went for as much as it did. And like I saw on that thread that the buyer backed out, and so the seller was like obviously super bummed. It's a dealership that specializes in BMW wagons, and there's a story related to that, related to my wagon as well. So it was on this forum, like being offered up, like, guy backed out, BaT's doing what they can to pursue the guy, but I mean, there's no like obligation to buy the car. It's just you lose your money, you get banned.
right.
And then like a few days later, I checked back and he sold the car to, I think, a runner-up buyer.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And they're going to put in, I think he said an S55. No, he's going to put I forget, the 335i engine, the N54. So he's going to put an N54 into it, which like, it's kind of like a good wagon to go already. So he'll be, I mean, it's fine. Like if you have, I guess
when you have the
means.
high mileage and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if the mileage is higher and it's already, it already is not like a pristine
I think at that
car,
point,
so
like the more miles you put on it, it's going to kind of be devalued anyway. So you might as well have fun with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's already set up to go. Like otherwise everything else, I mean, it basically is an M Sport now.
Right.
So, there's that.
Cool.
So that seller has sold many other wagons on BaT, and today I met up with a potential buyer, local, nice guy who actually, it turns out we have a lot of mutual acquaintances and friends, and he bought his wagon. He showed up in an E46 Touring that he bought from the same seller on BaT, and the unique part of this E46 Touring was that it was an SMG.
Wow.
Which he said that they were less than 100 spec'd in SMG, and which makes it like extremely rare.
Yeah.
And it's such a strange combination.
Do you remember when one of the times Daniel Sloan was on the pod and we had these trivia questions and we asked him to name like 3 or 4 BMWs that came with SMG but weren't M cars. I mean, it's such a small list because SMG was such a short time frame.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
But that was one. That was
Yeah.
one that I didn't know about before. Was the E46?
I
Non-M.
knew that people spec'd them in 330i E46s, but I'd never heard of anyone spec'ing one in a wagon.
Yeah,
because this would have been a
323.
325.
Okay.
Because it was the facelift E46. Sorry, LCI. So it would have been a 325i, but that's such an interesting like way to spec a car, because it's not. I mean, it's a special transmission. People have mixed opinions about it, but like it's essentially in a non-sport version of the car. So it was unique. It was my first SMG experience, and like it does drive like a manual. That's the thing, is that like it resembles drive, and it is a manual technically. It just is essentially robotic clutch.
Right.
So, but yeah, so it was just like, it was such a different experience. And I'm glad I tried it, because I don't know that I would have ever tried out an SMG like in an M3 or anything like that. So, a small world all around, I suppose.
That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Very cool.
We'll have an update, although you'll probably already know about it, because we'll surely post about it on social media.
Yeah.
So we have been, so now our daily drivers are in theory problem-free Japanese automobiles.
How's that working out for us?
I spent all weekend working on the car, the LX 470.
But you were just changing light bulbs and stuff.
Yeah, I was installing stuff, and I hate the snowball effect that happens with me, where like I think I'm just gonna do this one thing and it turns into 20 different projects. So I still have left to do. So installed like better bulbs, installed PIAs because it's country correct for the truck, whatever we want to call it. I don't know that we're going to call it a truck, even though it technically is a truck.
We may have gone over this.
Whatever. And I installed like a Bluetooth module in there for streaming, and I'm going to do a running board delete. I need to do that still. And then a trailer receiver delete, I guess, because it came with the Toyota one on there. That really bothers me for some reason when people leave the trailer receivers on there and they don't tow anything. They're not towing anything. So it's just like this thing that's dangling under the car, and it just looks.
Does it look like a trailer hitch? Is that what it is? Is that
it's a receiver. So the hitch is what you attach to the receiver.
Oh, I see.
So it's the like square hole.
Yeah.
It bothers me that that's there when it's not in use.
I don't know. I see it as like extra utility. It's like one more thing this can do.
Maybe it's not like a brush guard or something. I feel like it's just, or the equivalent of like a roof box or something. I don't know. There's something about it to me. Maybe it's because it's under the car and it's so unfinished looking.
Yeah.
That it just looks like you're in the middle of moving, or something.
I never thought of it that way.
Really? Okay.
That's fair.
I'm gonna take it off anyways. Because I have nothing to tow. Okay. So should we get into boat? Should we start Nautica for 96?
What if you towed one of your cars when it broke?
I could do that, I guess. And the other two are prone to less working capability. The Celsior and the 911 is.
What if you towed the Celsior? Well, I guess the LX is not Radwood eligible, but I was gonna say if there was something where you could tow the Celsior to it.
Would it be like a Cayman or a Cayenne?
Cayenne and a
towing
GT3,
it,
like the Trans-Siberia.
Only it'd be like a heavy V8 towing an equally heavy V8 car. Yeah. Yeah. I could do that. Oh yeah. I mean, I could. Maybe if there was another Radwood Austin following this one that we're going to miss, I would consider that. Considering that, actually the car was fine. The Celsior was fine riding up. It did at one point, the Celsior, do you remember me telling you this? Like in one of the small towns that we stopped at, like the car turned off. Like it stopped The engine died. And I think it was an ECU problem because they're prone to.
Oh, you did tell me that.
Yeah, and it was just like it was jarring because it just I think one in part I was not expecting it because it's the unbreakable car, and then two, it just like stopped in the middle of like a tiny town, and that would have just been like a movie in the making, like this Japanese car at a local like small Texas town mechanic, like anyways, but it's fine. Like that car is pretty sturdy and never dies. I think it's just an ECU problem where you have to solder like one transistor that goes out or something like that. It's the one
weird.
flaw.
Yeah. That's the flaw.
That's the flaw. Pardon me. I think I just burped into the mic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I throat farted
Okay.
too.
Do we have some topics written down?
Okay. I don't know, Kevin. Do we? I wish we had
please.
like papers to rustle here.
I know. I can add that in.
Okay. So I posed.
You posed a good question.
Okay, so this question was prompted by. So I have a search, an
Yes.
eBay search, every day that comes through email, for right-hand drive cars, and I'm not like huge into the JDM scene, but like I think there's a lot of interesting stuff coming out of Japan now, and so I keep a search out, and like a early 2000s Toyota Harrier, which is the Lexus RX, like popped up in the feed. And I was like, how is this here? Because I assumed that it was in the United States, but it was actually in Canada, where the rule is 15 years instead of 25.
Didn't it have a fender mirror?
It had fender mirror.
Yeah.
It had like all sorts of weird features that you didn't get here, that are like cool and kooky. Anyway, so it got me thinking about instead of 25 years,
Yeah.
because we were new for 96 but metric. What cars would you import if you could import at 15 years?
Yeah. It was a really good question. I was really excited to think this. And
Yeah.
unlike our last importation question,
Yeah.
which we did with current cars at a fixed price.
Yeah.
I tried to be more focused on this.
Yeah.
And also I made a rule for myself of no Porsches and nothing that's like 22 years.
Yeah.
So like I tried to stick to 2000
Because
plus.
15 is not that long ago.
Right.
Because your car, your IS is, how old is it?
It's like 17 years old.
17 years old. The LX is 14 years old. So, like that's kind of in the wheelhouse of cars that we would be looking at anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so go ahead.
So basically 2000 to 2005. Okay, let me consult the list here. Okay,
Yes.
so I have a bunch,
Ooh.
but
Yes.
2005 Alfa Romeo Brera.
Oh.
It's a really cool looking hatchback.
Yeah, yeah.
Like sports coupe. It's almost
Yeah.
it's almost like their Scirocco.
Yeah.
Which that is not eligible, but
No.
I do love those.
And is that Fiat based? Like, is it basically a front wheel drive?
I think it's like it is front wheel drive. I think it was based on like the 159 or something like sedan.
okay.
Like it's related to that.
Yeah.
They both looked cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool car.
Yeah.
Another I put the WRX STI S202.
Ooh.
It was like the original bug eye, but like the hottest version that we never got.
Yeah.
Anyway, Clio V6.
Ooh. Yeah. That's cool.
Clio 182 trophy. So I used to always read Evo
Yeah.
and Car Magazine, and they would always, have the best driver's car of the
Yeah.
year, car of the year, whatever. And there would always be all these like random hot Clios and Megans that
Yeah.
were just literally updated every year to be better and
Yeah.
sharper and cooler.
Yeah.
And so the Clio 182 trophy is among the best because Harry Metcalf, you may know from like YouTube, but
course.
he ran Evo magazine.
Yeah.
And after that car of the year, he loved the Clio 182 trophy so much that he bought the press car and kept it.
Oh, wow.
And so he still has the that car
Oh,
from
that's
that
cool.
test.
That's very
because
cool.
it made such an impression on him. It's just
Whoa.
cool. Like I would not know where to begin of picking all of these cool Clios and Megans.
Yeah.
But one of those, like, because they were always so forbidden, and they were
Yeah.
always like tied in with the Formula One cars and stuff with
Yeah.
naming and stuff. I also wrote the Renault Megane RS, which was the hottest and fastest of the time until the next year. So I would have the 05. That'd be the 15-year-old one.
Yeah.
This is where I get a little more interesting. 2003 Mazda Roadster
Oh.
Coupe.
Mazda Roadster Coupe?
Yes. So the Miata is called the Roadster in Japan.
Yeah.
And they made an NB generation coupe, and they made like 500 or 1500.
Wait, when did they call it just the Roadster?
That's what the way it's been named in Japan.
I thought it was the I should know
Unos.
this. It wasn't a Unos.
It was the original was a Unos Roadster.
Was it? I thought there was another name for it. God, now I can't remember it, and
Okay.
I knew this all day. Anyways, go on.
Well, so that car is interesting, and that would be really cool, and it's weird. And if you've seen a picture of the Miata Coupe, it is pretty cool looking.
That's pretty cool because we saw one at Radwood that Chris.
Well, that was a
Perkins-
prototype based
Yeah.
on NA. So that's a one-off
Yes.
made from like paper mache. And so it's very heavy. And the NA Miata Roadster, the NA Miata Coupe is really cool, but it was a like concept car. This was a production car made from the NB, and it's neat. So, all right.
You're right. It is a Unos Roadster.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2000 Ford Racing Puma.
Oh.
I loved the Puma, and
Puma's cool.
the Racing Puma was the cool one.
Yeah.
It was blue, and yes, we've talked
Yeah.
about the logo on here before, but it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
TVR 350C, T350C.
Yeah.
That was like one of the craziest looking TVRs,
Yeah.
and it was conveniently around 05.
Whoa.
So this was the one.
It's quite the list.
This is the one I think I'd have, and this is kind of lame, and it actually ties into what you just talked about,
Yeah.
but it's not that lame.
Huh.
An Alpina B3
Damn it.
3.3 wagon 6-speed E46.
I was gonna say Alpina's on my list.
But this one, so I found this specific one
Yeah.
for sale in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And oh no, it's not linked there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was so I wrote down what it said about the B3 engine because it was very interesting because
Yeah.
it's the bored out E36 M3 motor.
Yeah.
US spec. It's so weird.
It's a 3.3.
It's a 3.3 made from the US 3.2. So it's
Yeah.
like around, God, what does it say? I think it was around 280 horsepower.
Whoa.
And it just seems like a perfect engine.
It'd be cool, yeah, and it's
manual,
like more refined because it's an Alpina in theory.
and it had some slight graphics.
Yeah.
It's a manual, and it's just, it would be neat. So,
That'd be very cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my list.
So even though this is a question that I came up with, I did not actually give it that much thought.
Well.
But speaking about that, so I was gonna say I actually had thought about Alpinas on this list because there are several Alpinas that are. I mean, basically all the Alpinas are available, but
What's what is it like? What are other interesting Alpinas from like 2000 to 2005 that we didn't get?
diesels, like plenty
Oh.
of diesels, fast diesels, which I think would be kind of cool. But I'm going to set that aside and say
Okay.
that you could get I'm going to go towards the obvious and topical, an E91, but with an N54. So, or
Did they
N50
make that in 05?
I
guess-
they might have because the E90 came out in 05 over there.
Right, I remember.
Yeah. So in Europe, at least. So I think it probably was not until 07. So that wouldn't
Okay.
quite make the cut just
Sure.
yet.
Let's just pretend.
Yeah. Which I think would be cool to have a 335i wagon, unreliable as it might be, ever more so. It would be like about as good as you can get, as close as you can get to a fast wagon, or an M wagon, I guess, from the factory, or 3 Series. I guess they did make the M5 wagon over there. thought about, I basically am trying to think back to old Top Gear days and like all the weird cars that it was normal to them.
Yeah.
Like, so you could get like an SVT Mondeo, which would have been a Mondeo wagon, which would have been
Right.
a Contour
Yes.
wagon,
Mm-hmm.
an SVT version, which I think would actually be pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, even though I don't like, I wonder if like, because you and I look back fondly on the SVT Contour.
Yeah.
I wonder if we drove one today, what our feelings and thoughts would be.
I mean,
on that.
I found the interior to be revolting, even in like 2000. So I don't
Well,
know how bad I would see it now.
yeah.
because it was just so beige.
That was the genesis of the like lots of oval things going on.
But it was just it was like there's something about the beigeness of it.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, no, it wasn't good.
I wonder how the Mondeo like ST 170 or whatever, like how the Euro one was different. Maybe on the inside, maybe. Probably not.
I probably wasn't that different. Like in theory, that was that was supposed to be the nicer interior from Europe. Like when like when the Focus came over, the first Focus, that was like basically a world car
Yeah.
designed in Europe,
Yes.
brought to America, and it was a higher quality Ford interior.
It was.
But
So I always heard, maybe if I read in like Evo,
Yeah.
that the first Focus, they benchmarked like the E46, which I thought was just so cool. Like the idea
that is
of
very cool.
suspension tuning and like having
Yeah.
this much more expensive
And that's the
rival.
thing. It was a very sophisticated, like compact car, like for the time, and it did set, I think, a benchmark because instead of you had this kind of trickle down effect because you could spec out a Focus in Europe at that time to like a $30,000 level, and
Yeah.
now today that's very normal.
Right.
But I think at that point, like you couldn't. That's like 2 Ford Escorts, which they were selling at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing that was cool is that the design, like that was the first well executed New
Yeah.
Edge car, like
Yeah.
the New Edge design language,
Yeah.
and it trickled up to like the rest of the
Yeah,
lineup
it
over
did.
time. But that was the first successful one.
No, I had a friend who had one. I remember just the switchgear felt so much better. Like even the door lock mechanism, like
Oh,
instead
yeah.
of like, like a haphazard clack
Right.
when the door locked, it was like this, like a slow, like, zhunk.
Oh,
Like it was so like motorized. And I just remember thinking this car feels so high quality for like the level at which it's supposed to be existing at.
I wonder what the base price of a ZX3 was. Because I mean, it had to be like
15,
I don't
20?
know, maybe even less. I mean, we're
Oh.
talking like 1999 money. So
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna. What are we guessing? I'm gonna say 13.9.
I'm gonna say 15.
Okay.
At least, because it was nice. It was nicer. So who's gonna look at it?
Oh, I meant I would look this up later.
Oh, fine. All right, whatever.
Do you want me to look it up right now?
Look it up right now.
Okay, we'll cut out the. So based on the blurb on Edmunds,
Yeah.
it says base prices range from $12,280 for the 3-door hatchback ZX3 to $15,795 for the SE wagon.
So we're both right.
And that was the year 2000. So
Whoa.
I specifically asked about the ZX3,
Yes.
but yeah, sure, we're both right.
Wait. So that was just like the range for the entire.
Yeah,
Like okay.
the
Oh.
wagon base price was like 15.7, but the ZX3, the hatch, the
Yeah.
only one that I was caring about, was
Yeah.
was 12.
Okay. Wait, was it called a ZX3?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it was. Fine. Well, that's cool that we were both right.
Yeah.
Nothing to argue about here.
Nope.
Amazing. Well, okay, so I'll go on since I did not give this much thought. Okay. Jesus Christ, you have the loudest yawns.
Where's the cough button?
Damn it. Damn it.
Oh my
Damn it.
This is really going off the rails. How long has it been?
I don't know. Okay, so I did not, because my imagination is limited and I haven't given this much thought, I'm going to go ahead and just cars that I can think of, weird cars at the time. What about a Renault Aventime?
Oh, that's cool.
Like, it's probably a terrible van to drive, but
Yeah.
it's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I was about to say the Fiat Multipla of the era too, that cartoon looking
Yeah.
thing. It looked like Doug's parents' car or minivan or something.
Is that like ready? When did that debut? I want to say it was like 95 to 2000.
Maybe something like that.
Yeah.
It's right in the era. Again, because my imagination is limited, I would actually go for like a modern day, or of the era, short wheelbase G-Wagon, because of the cars that I was looking for. But like you get something with a little bit more modernized, with a modern power plant. I wonder if you could get an AMG 2-door. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So I don't know if that actually exists, but
I did try looking on like international Mercedes websites to see if you could get like an interesting spec on a current G-Wagon, and you cannot.
No, you cannot. They're all boring spec.
But I mean,
like,
I thought in other markets maybe they got better ones.
You would think. Well, you know what? I've got so equivalent to that. So a nice short wheelbase G-Wagon would be cool. I think the opposite would also be cool. The utility spec, which wasn't made available over in Europe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could get that in short wheelbase, but basically it was the I forget the model designations now for the G-Wagons, but basically at the time they produced two different versions. One was a nice version and one was the utility spec version based on the old trim lines basically. And so the only thing that was modern about it, I think, was the head unit. Otherwise, it was the same car that you could have bought in 1985.
Oh, that's so cool.
I feel it was like basically they were specing it like the Tradesman Special, except that it was still $70,000. So that is a very specialized need, I guess. The only other things I can think of, like off the top of my head, that I would want to import, maybe a newer spec Toyota Century, even though it's the same car that you also could have gotten in 1985 and 1965. Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What was the last Celsior? Because am I wrong? They kind of phased it out once Lexus came to Japan. Is that correct?
Did. Yeah. That's
so
true.
what was the last Celsior?
It was the technically second gen.
Okay.
Yeah, technically second gen facelift. Which, by the way, like they refer to those as series. So you're right in that it's technically not a full generation.
Right.
But they call it series. So my car's is a series 1. The facelift for that is a series 2, I believe. And then the 95, so the new one, the second gen, is technically a series 3, something like that. I forget how it actually goes. I didn't actually pay attention to the minutia.
Okay.
But as that goes, so
yeah.
I would get that'd be kind of cool. I mean, that's just more of like that's so such a myopic like list. Like, oh, I'd have the same cars that I have now, but different.
Yeah.
So,
if we opened it up to Porsches, would you add anything?
Oh,
I mean, I really don't think that there's a lot post 2000 they didn't sell here. The only thing is the 996 GT3 RS.
I was about to say, yeah. I can't think of anything else that like really you couldn't get here.
Right.
Yeah, no, that would be actually pretty. That was the list right there. So a short list indeed. Yeah. So because Alpinas were kind of the big thing that I was thinking of that we just really didn't get here. I don't think there were any like other than weird variants of Mercedes cars. Can you say Mercedes-Benz? Is that the plural? I never thought about that.
Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz.
Like Prix.
Mercedes. Yeah, exactly. No, Saabs. No, because we didn't get. We got all the same.
Yeah, they were
terrible
still GM.
rebranded cars. So nope, not even cool Saabs.
So speaking of Mercedes, I have another question that I posed.
Yes.
It's really dumb.
Yes.
But okay. So especially me, I complain about numbers in luxury car
Yes.
model names.
Yes.
And I went down, and I won't read all these, but I found a list of these numbers. Mercedes-Benz, currently E350, 2-liter inline 4.
Yep.
E450, 3-liter V6.
Numbers, what do they mean?
Mercedes AMG E53. What do you think's in that?
6-cylinder.
Yeah, what arrangement?
Who knows?
Okay, well, that's an inline 6 hybrid turbo.
Amazing.
Mercedes AMG E63S. That is a 4-liter V8 turbo. So BMW is as bad. Audi is as bad.
Here's the thing too.
Yes.
Like it used to be that when you had a E63, C60, anything 63, you cared that you had the 6.2. But I don't think anyone who's buying any of these cars now care what's in the engine bay. They just care that it says AMG on the back.
That's right. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas for like a solution of what you do? All right. So I'm before I ask that, I know I do sound like 100 years old. So I'm like,
it's the curmudgeon. It's the curmudgeon argument.
But it would be.
Yes.
Except like it comes from such a like shitty, empty place that like we can't take these numbers off the car because your neighbor has to know that you still have a big displacement, even though the car doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you can't. It comes from such a shallow, like hollow, horrible place that these numbers are there just to like as this chest puffing exercise.
It is because what is an E43 say for instance?
I'm not even talking about AMGs. I'm talking about like the E350 and E450, and they're stupid names. They don't mean anything. In BMW speak, like I understand 328 has like a historic nomenclature going back to the 20s. 340 is a stupid name. 340 has no history. 340 is misrepresenting what's in the car.
Yeah.
Like we shouldn't have a 340.
No.
So I mean, without being a research group paid millions of dollars that they should use or something, but just my spitballing is, it should just be, there should be BMW 3. Like it should just be the 3 series, and there shouldn't be sub things. And then and the 5 series, and then maybe they have like a
should it just say 3 series spelled out on the back?
No, because maybe there's a word name because they all right.
Should it say 3 Series Grand Coupe spelled out on all from one taillight to the other?
It already does. So, I don't know. I understand they need to still have differentiations for money making purposes.
Right. Same engine,
tiers.
but tuned differently for different pricing structures.
Yeah, you have to have these different prices, and then you have to have facelifts, I guess. I don't know. It's terrible. It's terrible. I guess I kind of wish there was a name.
German cars got themselves into. I can kind of see. I'm not on board with it, but I can kind of see how the marketing department has basically been turned upside down because now engines don't matter because it's all the same engine or weird variants that don't mean anything. You can't like wrap a brand around it anymore. Mm-hmm. So what do you do? And I guess this is the point of the question because we blame it on like, oh, well, they don't care. And I agree to some extent that's probably part of the case now. Like they don't care about what they used to care about. And so what can they do like at this point to make up for it? Like the technology has now surpassed, I guess, the naming technology. Or naming abilities.
But come up with better naming abilities.
Yeah.
Like now is where marketing actually has a job to do.
Yeah.
And it's differentiating these tiers of things.
I agree with you. Like say for instance, BMW wants to place itself as like future tech like car company. And so
which has no investment in electric vehicles.
So a BMW 3 unfortunately I think then Tesla will come back in a huff and say, well, whatever. So, I mean, I guess it would just be for the 3. I gotta say though, Tesla at the very least has a solution for that. Like, and their solution is that they have everything as a model series designation, and so they can name it anything they want.
Right.
And it's not like an overly ambitious name. In fact, it doesn't mean anything. Model 3, Model S, Model X, Model Y. There's no commonplace except that it kind of doesn't not make sense. Like, as in, we don't question why a 3 is called a 3 and why an S is called an S or why the Y is called the Y.
Right. And then they differentiate with the kilowatts.
Yeah.
Which is like,
so
at least they're accurate.
Actually, I mean, like 3 Series, like if they had some sort of 3 Series designation, like you call it like, I don't know, 300. Or you just call it like a 3 Series, a 328 or something like that. And then you call it 4 liter or 2 liter turbo, 2 liter turbo plus, whatever. Like you could simplify the naming convention.
I don't know. Like I think there is, I think the industry that like there's such a blowback on all these alphanumerics, especially once like Infiniti and Cadillac have tried to get in on it and have done so poorly. And it's just, it does. And it is very bad. I think everyone sees it as bad. And I think maybe, I mean, Chinese market notwithstanding, I think there may be a return to names. Like Lincoln has names.
Yeah, but you see German cars going that route. I mean, I saw from Porsche, obviously.
Right. I don't know. Like Mercedes could have like the E-Class, and then there's like a red series or a black series or something, or you have like, or if you had some kind of name that has something in the history. So I did find, so I was going through the lineups and I did find, so Audi and Jaguar both have things where it's, so in Jaguar lineup, they both have a weird like number. So this is Audi. This is from a thing I found. Audi has the number 30 for models with between 107 and 127 horsepower. 35 for 145. It goes all the way to 70 is for models with more than 529 horsepower. So I was looking at mid-size sedans. So you can get an Audi A6 Premium Plus 45 TFSI. That's a 2 liter inline four. And then Audi also has an A6 Prestige 55 with a 3 liter V6. So
talk about nomenclature that no one is going to ever understand or know about. Like you slot within this horsepower range. I mean, I guess it's better than displacement since displacement doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right.
I guess. I mean, it should just be like slow, medium, fast, basically, instead of like a horsepower designation.
Well, and then Jaguar they also have numbers like 25T and 30T. Both of those.
This is all current day?
This is all current day. I was on the current websites.
What?
But Jaguar also has different tiers like Prestige and R Sport and Checkered Flag and Portfolio. But those are so generic.
Those are generic.
Maybe you have...
It's kind of like... It's very similar to Range Rover, though.
Yeah, but if you had ones that maybe tie into the history more and you...
And on the used market, it doesn't matter because they're all worth $10,000 after 5 years. But... yeah...
I remember Jaguar was going to go to some system where it's like 380 or 400 and stuff like that, and then they backed away from it.
Almost wish they would just be as simple as just set a like numerical designation like entry, middle, and best, and just name it like, you know, here is Series 2, Series 6, Series 4, Series 6, or whatever. Like basically, you've got a 6 level, Series 6 level car. Oh, amazing! Like how impressive. As opposed to like that, like I've already forgotten what you've just said as far as like, oh, how many horsepower do I have? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
It's pretty bad. It's terrible.
Yeah. Like another solution is to stop having, and this is, I understand this is a curmudgeonly argument, but to stop having so many variants, because again, we've talked about this before, like BMW's whole model lineup is basically they have designed a car for every single niche of potential niche interest, meaning like, oh, you want like not the best, but better than the base, but also it needs to be like an M, it has to have an M badge, but not an M car. So here you have it. You have your M50i X-Drive, or X, see, I can't even do it.
Yeah.
Hang on. X5 M50i X Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't believe I actually got that in one take. Second take, 2 takes. Or whatever it is. Actually Mercedes is even worse with the E43, the E53, the E63. Instead of having 3 variants, and then they have the normal models too. So then you have your E400, you have an E300, and then I don't know if they're
E350 and 450
and 350
now,
and 450,
despite the fact that they're not.
yeah,
more.
And here's the thing is, I don't understand how anyone picks anything. How do you choose to spend your money? Additionally, oh, well, no, I'll have the 53 instead of the 43 because I don't want to spend the money for the 63, but I also don't want to be basic and to get the 43. I don't understand these. I don't think people are actually having these discussions.
Right.
So yeah, it doesn't matter. Just get rid of all the weird variations.
Remember when Volkswagen had the Wolfsburg edition?
Yeah.
Maybe something like
That's
that.
a trim line.
Yeah, I know it's a trim line, but maybe now if we dispel of numbers,
yeah.
I think for BMW, 3 Series is iconic. 5 Series is iconic. Having these other numbers attached to it that don't mean anything are just... It's just baggage.
Yeah, I agree.
And so if we attach a name or something, but something that is close to the brand history.
Instead of I would almost say 328 is say for instance, 328
the problem with that
Yeah.
is you're going to have marketing dipshits, and then the next when you have the LCR, they're going to say, "Hey, the 328. Well, we're making it better because it's got a new iDrive. So
now it's
got to be a 330,
and that just cheapens.
And that gets you to 340, which is what we have now. Which, like I said, is.
And here's the thing but the dumb thing is, and I'm sure they have marketing research to say otherwise. Maybe not. But that the typical buyer of that car could care less that it was formerly a 328 and now is a 330 and now is a 340.
Right. Yeah.
They don't care. They just care that it was the cheapest BMW 3 Series to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it. And they could have kept it 328, spec A, spec B, spec C. It's kind of, I'm going to go back to the thing that I know. Excelsior has a type A, B, C, and then an F package on top of that. And it's very, A, you didn't study hard enough. B, you're okay at school. C, hey, nose to the grind. So I don't know. But I recognize that these are really old man arguments because I don't even want to say they should go back to what they were doing.
But I don't think this is I don't necessarily think this is working. I think that they're selling stuff because people want these crossovers and they're offering a lot of them. But I don't think they're succeeding.
Oh no. I don't think
I don't think
the brand teams are not earning their money. As far as all you've done is make car enthusiasts hate you, which I know you don't care because car enthusiasts are just going to buy used cars anyways.
Yeah.
But you've just watered down these icons, and it's such a shame because you're selling out your history for maybe a sale or two.
Yeah.
Relatively speaking, and just made a mess of car culture in general. So because can you imagine as a kid, you and I had very specific knowledge. We could rattle off every single BMW model designation.
Oh yeah.
And can you imagine a kid doing that today? All the stupid variants, oh no, I want an E53, not the 43, not the 63. That's a bit much, Well,
how can you look at the company that makes the 2 Series Grand Coupe and say oh, well, I still like what they do despite the X2 and despite all of this. I mean, there's just so much crap.
I know. And
so I did see the Grand Coupe in person this past week.
Yeah.
And it looks just like it looks more like a really small, really cheap X4 than a Corolla, in the pictures. But also, I think it was flattered because I saw it in the showroom. And so if I had seen it on the road at a distance, I think I'd oh, that's a bloated Corolla. But in real life, close quarters, it looks like a slightly smaller X4. It's got the same taillights and everything.
Yeah. So essentially not useful as it's small in dimension. Is it 2x2? two seat.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who that's for either. Like,
I mean, that's for people who want the cheapest BMW they can get.
I guess, yeah. I remember, like, even as a kid, I admired the 318 Ti.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I thought that was, like, I mean, it was the cheapest, and it was clearly, like, an economy BMW, but it was still cool.
Right.
And I just couldn't,
It was still true to the 3 Series.
Yeah.
In this, like, weirdo way. It was like, oh, it's still rear-wheel drive.
And I couldn't imagine, like, a 12-year-old now looking at, like, a 2 Series and saying, yeah, that's pretty cool still.
Right.
So, or an X2 or any of them, like, and I know that's not what makes money, but it kind of did. I mean, like those kids who grew up like admiring those, well, they all grew up and bought today in 2020 E39 M5s and E46 M3s. So they're not buying new BMWs. So it doesn't matter. We're a demographic that kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember looking at the BMW lineup like 5 years ago and thinking like, I can't imagine BMW being worse than they are now and being so wrong.
I know. Yeah. And that's just it.
I mean, I didn't even like the stuff 5 years ago, but at least it was like, oh, there was some things there.
All these disposable cars, like, and that's just like, I feel like like all the luxury marks almost.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them. Who is like, okay, let's turn it on its head.
Sure.
Who is doing things right? I was about to say Volvo.
But I don't know if they're dynamically good to drive. I just know they look good and they don't offend me.
They do exactly what they're supposed to do in that it is a numb driving experience, but it's meant to be a sensory deprivation tank.
Yeah.
So it's good at that. And the styling is faultless.
Yeah.
Like you can't fault the styling. It is just so like discreet and every line is exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah.
It's not trying to be exciting. So, and did you see that the S90 and V90 or S80 and V90 got a facelift after, I think it's been out since 2015. So it's kind of an old car now.
Yeah.
But it looks even better. Like they cleaned up the lines that were already clean.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those things that it's not meant to elicit feeling. It's meant to be the opposite. Like it is meant to be serene.
Yeah.
Which is probably also why like people have no feelings about them in the secondhand market because they're probably faster depreciating than like a used Jag or an AMG, new AMG for that matter. But so they're at least on point and on mission because I think for the most part that's how all their cars have been. Even the R cars were good, but not good in like an M car way.
Okay, but those I've driven a handful of those Volvos from the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Whatever. I consider anything from like 99 to 2015 Volvo like never appealed to me.
I know you have a chip on your shoulder about like
no, I just
you're one of those like why do people like Volvo?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I personally didn't.
Yeah.
And in a time when BMW was making better cars, more interesting cars dynamically,
I feel like you couldn't start your interest in Volvo of that era. I think you would have had to have interest in like Volvo's true boxy days, and then it just kind of spills over into.
But didn't they abandoned the boxy?
They did, but like there was still kind of a Scandinavian influence and like a nod to history, like in those cars too. And I think it's a bridge to get to like the modern day cars where I think if you were just coming out of the blue, you would not find those cars like an S60 from, the early 2000s, the orange with the orange.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where you started your interest in looking at Volvos, that you'd form a passion from that. Like, I think you would have had to go back to like when the turbos
that was
were
like the
starting
first
to go
Volvo I drove was like an orange S60.
Oh, really?
Like 2011.
Yeah, no, that's totally like. Do you remember if it was a T5 or was it a 2.5 naturally aspirated?
I drove a T5 and a T6.
Okay. I don't think I had a T6.
Well, I drove one later.
Okay. Anyways, neither here nor there, because like at that time
I drove like S60s in V6 and inline 5.
Well, it's kind of like Saabs too. Like the only reason why anyone finds interest in a last of the era Saab, they weren't good cars. Like, and for the same money, you could have bought an E46, or even actually up till then, even an E90. Far superior cars, but the charm existed by way of carry through from history, meaning that if you found Saab charming in the 90s, 80s and 90s, you'll find it charming as like, it's kind of like it's like meeting like the slightly disappointing son of a legend where you're still fascinated. You're like, oh, you're I don't know whose son, somebody's son.
Sure.
And the resemblance is there.
Okay.
But nothing else. It's just kind of like, it's just, I guess, a whisper of the history. So that's why, I don't know.
Okay. So,
but you're right.
Well, I think Volvo is doing things well because the design is amazing.
Are we talking about premium marks, or are we talking about any car?
I was kind of talking about premium marks.
Okay.
What do you think?
Premium marks. Man.
It's tough.
It's tough. Lexus?
Yeah.
I mean, but they've been on the, here's the thing though, you can't, it's not that they are better, it's just that they've done the same thing.
Well, it's not that they're better, it's that they haven't changed.
They haven't changed,
But
exactly.
like, it's kind of weird when you look at, so like I said, I was looking at all these specs and trim levels, and it's like BMW and Mercedes, it's like 2-liter 4 turbo, 3-liter 6 turbo, 4 V8. The BMW was a 4.4. When you get to Lexus, it's like 3.5 liter NA V6.
Yeah.
And that just seems so antiquated. Now, to me, it's cool. Like, it's great. I love that that's in
or
the GS 350.
that they still have like the GSF.
They have the GSF.
It's a naturally aspirated V8.
The GS as a car only comes in a 3.5 NA V6 and the 5-liter.
And you know what?
V8. And
It works
great.
for
They're great
Lexus.
motors.
Like, so Lexus, I'm gonna go back and reinforce that statement.
Okay.
Or rather, like,
but this isn't like boldness
with
that's
more
powering
confidence.
this. This
No.
is just like lack of evolving.
It's lack of evolving, but we're also kind of stating that about like sort of BMW, like, because Lexus could do the same thing, but Toyota has always been kind of slow and steady.
Sure.
Slow and steady wins a race type deal. But they're doing kind of what we're complaining about with the other manufacturers, in that they're just producing the same thing same thing over and over and over with slight modifications and tweaks. And I bet you there is, in our cars, which are like, your car is nearly 20 years old. My car is, again, like 14 years old. I bet you there is some of the same technology that could be found in today's cars from those cars. Mm-hmm. And not that there's anything wrong with that. It does mean that they're not the fastest, they're not the most exciting, they are exactly what they are. But that's kind of Lexus's brand image anyways. It's this like, it's a solid, steady as she goes ship. Mm-hmm. So if you want a, in theory, reliable, comfortable, luxury or near luxury or luxury car, here it is. Like, it's not exciting. It's not going to have the latest tech. It's not going to be this or that. It's just good, I guess. Or it's just dependable from an experience standpoint.
Yes, maybe.
I'm just waiting for you to respond. You're just very quiet right now.
Oh, no, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other, but there's no other luxury brands that I like what they're doing.
Infiniti, Acura.
Yeah, you know how I
those
feel.
are at the bottom, I would say. Like, those are car companies that are not only not doing anything, they're, except for Infiniti, which is just constantly changing the nameplate of the same car
that
three
was
different
so
times.
long ago, and they did it once so long ago, but no one knows what they are.
No, yeah,
and they also haven't changed the cars since then.
No, it's the same car. Yes. Do they still sell the G37? They don't, because it's a Q60 or whatever now.
Yeah, that's the last one that was updated, and it was updated in like 2015. I mean, they might have. I think they've done a facelift.
Yeah.
On like the big SUV, but
Yeah.
that's it.
So premium marks are a hard one. In fact, I guess maybe they're the worst at all of that, because Mazda obviously is a prime example of a car company that is, in my opinion, doing it pretty well,
I think
doing it pretty
so.
right.
Yes.
And of course, they're, as a result of automotive enthusiasts, appealing to automotive enthusiasts, they are also kind of at the bottom of the sales situation, because people don't want good cars. I don't understand what they want. So
Yeah.
who knows? Anyways, since you're yawning, I think it's a podcast. So
Yeah.
folks, we're getting the signal here from Kevin yawning that the podcast is over. So, all right. And plus, I'm ranting a one-way street here. All right. Anyways, thanks for listening, all. Please follow us on Instagram at new496 at
Also-
new496.
Also on Twitter, the same.
Yeah.
Send us an email at new496 spelled out at gmail.com. And I think that's all we got.
I think that's all we got.
Okay.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.